Recently, I've been getting a ton of different Instagram DMs from people asking, Vic, is it worth selling sealed product? How do you sell sealed product? Should I do singles? Should I do both? What's kind of your take here? So, I've decided to just kind of make a video compiling a bunch of different tips, a bunch of different info, and making it easy for you all to get all the info you need. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Victor. I own Set Singles and SIRs. We're a TCG player shop. We've done over 2,000 sales, 100% gold star seller, blah blah blah, all the good stuff. And before TCG Player, or during TCG Player, I also had a website, setsinglesandsirs.com. Kind of pause that for a second, and we'll kind of get into it when it comes to sealed product. But we did over $13,000 in sales in just a couple months, so I think I've got pretty decent ground to stand on here when I talk about this stuff. So in this video, just as a summary so you guys can kind of skip to whatever you need, first we're going to talk about why I stopped selling sealed, then we're going to talk about the difference in margin, and then we're going to show you me packing order really quickly just so you kind of have a good baseline on how to pack them. So without further ado, let's get into it. If you like the video, like and subscribe, and yeah, let's go. So why did I stop selling sealed product? And essentially it's really easy. I have a whole video on it, but it wasn't worth it for me. The profit margin just really wasn't there. Things change all the time. I don't have direct distributor access, so it's very, very difficult to get any sort of product, especially in the Pokemon sphere. Magic, it's a little easier. There's some wholesale stuff, all that sort of stuff. Rudy from Alpha Investments and a couple other smaller channels have their own Patreons, but all in all, without distributor access, it is pretty difficult to turn a profit, so that is most people in this video. Just want to tell you right off the bat, it's pretty hard to turn profit doing that, especially if you sell on TCG Player, because TCG Player, they have their 13.75% fees, whatever it is. I use Pro, so my fees are a little higher. But essentially, that fee right there just cuts out your entire profit margin. Now, if you have direct distributor access, might be a little feasible, but generally, Magic stuff is what you're going to get instead of Pokemon. And Magic doesn't sell super duper well, at least on Sealed and TCG Player, all that. If you have your own physical location, then, well, I don't know why you're watching, but hi, I appreciate it. But yeah, it's not, there's not a whole lot of margin there, especially with TCG Player. Now, that is why I had my own website. Your own website should be about 3.5% in terms of fees, just for credit card processing, just a little bit, Wix or Shopify will take, whatever it is. With that, it is a little more feasible, but the issue still comes to shipping. Now, shipping, it's not easy to, you can't really fold up this tiny little box. This is where I send most of my single cards on orders over like 40 bucks, whatever it may be. It's not that easy. You need a much bigger box, and you need more padding. That means your costs go up. So, all in all, that's why I stopped selling it. And let's kind of get into the pros and cons. So, the main sealed product I would sell would be Pokemon stuff and Magic stuff. So, I'm going to do the first portion about Pokemon, specifically in this new environment. So, I just want to say, Pokemon in this day and age, in this environment, you're going to be really hard-pressed to get any good pricing on English Pokemon. Even if you do have a distributor, you might sell, or they might give you 6 boxes on release. So a full case, you might make maybe a couple $100 just because there's still a bunch of hype around everything. And then all your restocks are going to be at like 15 to 20% of market price, which it's not great. It's not bad. It's not bad, but you're going to pay basically market rate for it. And anyone who has sealed product and wants to sell it, generally they're going to be getting closer to 85% of market price from stores. And usually those are bigger stores. Some stores even pay up to 90% of market price just because they have a big local audience that will just pay, 105% market price. So do keep that in mind. You are competing with a lot of big people when it comes to sealed Pokemon, just because that is a large market, and essentially you need a lot of capital. So honestly, I'm not a huge fan of it. You can try doing the Japanese stuff. I did that for a bit, But between, the swings and tariffs and all this other political shit, I decided it was just too much of a hassle. And frankly, I think most people will decide the same thing. Now, there is definitely a market because of that. If no one wants to do it, then, the person who does want to do it has more market share, all that good stuff. I mean, Brian from PokeNE, he's been doing it forever and ever, and he's pretty good at what he does. So there's always going to be success, even when there's, small issues, people don't want to deal with it. But that kind of does take us into the pros of selling Pokemon. It's really popular right now, so it sells pretty fast, even if you're just a small website. As long as you're trustworthy, you have your reviews, all that good stuff, you're going to get sales. If you have the product, you're basically guaranteed sales. And you're basically guaranteed a profit. Again, not a ton of it, because you're not going to get a ton of it, but it is profit. It is profit. And it's definitely a good way to bolster your business if you do both singles and sealed. It's definitely not bad. And I would put in an application. I doubt distributors are really going for anyone just yet. We're going to have to wait probably another year or two just to even get considered for distribution. So unless you have a physical location or a bunch of online sales and reviews and all that, it's going to be kind of tough. So that is the pro, though. There is plenty of profit if you can get the product. Now, when it comes to Magic the Gathering stuff, the sealed game is a little different. Usually, stores carry sealed product for Magic as a way to get, customers who go in the door, they want to buy a pack, they want to buy, a couple packs, whatever. They'll buy some packs, maybe they'll even buy a box, and they'll crack it. And you know what the store does? They go ahead and wait until you sell them the cards you crack. And essentially, they're breaking even or making a little bit of profit on the packs. You're losing money when you open it, and then you're selling it back to the store. The store pays, some stores do 50% market price, 50% TCG player low. I try to stick to around like 69 to 70% market price, just because I don't have a physical location, employees, all that sort of stuff, so I can kind of offer fair value. But that is essentially the only reason stores buy sealed product. Now again, with Magic, there is the same issue of getting access to the product. Alright, so, Dragons of Tarkir, play boxes. Your store cost on a play box like this will generally be about $96, maybe, $95, depending on what kind of rep you have, what kind of pool. Again, if you do have it, always use 2% cashback credit card, because they do charge you a credit card fee anyway, so might as well rake some of that back, get some non-taxable money for the business. But with that being put aside there, Magic play boxes recently have had this really interesting issue where you just can't get them, even from distribution. They're waiting to be printed. Tarkir needs to be printed again. Bloom Barrow needs to be printed again. Final Fantasy needs to be printed again. There's a huge queue, and yes, that does mean demand is high, but like Dragons of Tarkir, it's a $120 box, right? You lose, say, $15 to taxes and fees, more or less, and then $5 for shipping. Let's kind of put it together. Shipping and fees and taxes, you lose about $20, okay? So that means, or rather, not taxes, fees. So that means you're at $100, and you paid $96. Congrats, you made $4 a box, which is less than a 4% margin. And of course you have to deal with scammers, people returning, people opening, just a bunch of different stuff. If you lose or get scammed out of one single box, your profit for four whole cases is just gone. It's just gone. So that is another thing you have to kind of keep an eye out for. There's a lot of scammy people in the TCG world. It just kind of happens. Wherever there's money, people will be pretty shit. In terms of pros for selling Magic the Gathering stuff, and especially in sealed product, I wouldn't say there's too many right now. Obviously, you can build reputation with a distributor. If you're getting it from a distributor, then it's worth it, even if you break even, just so you get access to collector boxes and bigger allocations of that, because that is where the money is right now. All the play boxes, all that sort of stuff, not really worth anything, but collectors and collector commanders, that is definitely something that is worth a pretty penny, and I would definitely, try and build a reputation with a distributor. If you don't have a distributor, I don't really see any upside. I mean, if you have a physical location, great, you can sell packs, you can make a slight profit per pack, and you really squeeze out your margins there. If you can buy something super cheap on sale, maybe, this is probably a bad example, but Streets of New Capenna, I mean, I bought a bunch of draft boxes for like, I want to say $85 a box. EV on this is like $50 at best, just because of the triomes, all that sort of stuff. Theoretically, for certain boxes, it is worth buying them from whatever price you get, cracking a lot of them, and then selling the singles, especially if you account for, your bulk cards being a 25-cent floor price. Then you can definitely, scoop up those margins and kind of make things work. But honestly, without a card sorting machine, without a card bot or a fizz batch or whatever you want to call it, it's just, I don't really see any positives to buying play boxes, draft boxes. I mean, they don't make draft boxes anymore. That's the only reason I bought the New Capenna draft. You kind of heard the pros and cons, mostly cons, of selling sealed product. How does that compare to singles? Well, I'm going to make a separate video buying bulk and kind of showing you guys what I sift through, how I get the most value out of it, all that good stuff. But for now, let's just do some basic math. Let's assume you're buying a collection and you pay 70% market price. Let's assume closer to 17% fees for TCG Player, just because if you sell under a certain price, you kind of, because of the 30-cent fee that automatically gets applied, the math is kind of wonky. But let's assume you only buy singles that are worth $5 and up, and you pay 70% market price. Your fees will be pretty close to 17%, maybe 16, 15, that sort of stuff. So you're netting 10%. Granted, you have to move a lot more cards to make the same amount of profit. You sell one box, okay, cool, you made $4, and you'd have to sell 10, 15 cards to make the same profit, right? Personally, I just like the cards a lot more. They're a lot more compact. I mean, my entire TCG Player store is in these two white boxes, and they're not even full. And this holds about 10,000 cards. So these 10,000 cards are worth more than all the sealed product you may or may not see here. I mean, I don't know how well my GoPro works. I think it's fine, but I've got a couple $1,000s in sealed boxes, whatever. So essentially the math works out. 10 singles sold for profit versus one box. It's not a huge difference. It takes like 30 seconds to pack one order, pull it, do all that good stuff. So maybe a minute per order. I don't know. I think the math works out a lot better on singles, just because it scales a lot easier. People are a lot more willing to sell their singles to you versus selling the sealed product. So especially if you don't have a physical location, singles are just infinitely better, essentially. Yeah, that's kind of the real basic math breakdown there. There's not too much to it. It's just more volume, slightly lower profit. Unless, of course, you're churning and burning $100 cards, then, hey, you're looking at a pretty juicy profit there compared to sealed product. So keep that in mind. There's levels to it, right? Most of your cards you're going to sell are going to be $1 or $2. You're going to have a couple cents in profit, whatever, roll it over, but it does add up. So that is kind of the TLDR there. Now, with all that being said, if I haven't convinced you not to sell sealed product, I mean, I would still personally buy it. I still personally have sealed product that I hold on to. In maybe 2-3 years, it'll go up enough that it is worth me selling it. We'll see. It might not. That is another con to specifically Magic. Pokemon, it tends to go up. Magic also tends to go up, but recently this lost era of the last 10 years, basically, boxes do go up, but nowhere near as much as Pokemon. There's a whole shtick. There's a whole nother video there. Boo, jump scare. Sorry. Vic from another day here. File got corrupted. I already sent out that order, so I'm going to instead show you guys a throne box as well as 2 collector boxes. I'm going to pack both of these for y'all right there, and I'm going to be using 2 different boxes, so I'll show you the boxes in just a sec. But you'll notice I've been selling a couple sealed boxes. This is mostly just because I'm locking in profits, especially on these collector boxes. I invested $1,000 on them. I bought 5 of them. They've doubled in price. You know, you're going to use that money to buy more collections and stuff. So for the draft boxes or set boxes, whatever you want to call them, I use a 10 by 10 by 4 from Uline. It folds up pretty nice and square. Fits 1 box, maybe even 2 if you bubble wrap the 2 together. Generally wouldn't recommend it though. And then for the collector boxes, we're going to use something a little smaller, a 7 by 7 by 6 from Uline. Makes it nice and snug. And yeah, let's get to packing. Alrighty, so for these collector boxes, I like to pack them nice and safe. So you've got 2 of them, and this is 2 feet of bubble wrap. I've got a big old roll. So what I like to do is I'm just going to split them apart right here with 1 piece of bubble wrap, fold it in half, just so they don't touch. Squish it together nice and tight. Put 1 roll of bubble wrap up like this. The next one, kind of push it up and over as well, and lock it in right here. We're going to grab a piece of tape. It doesn't have to be very big. We're going to go ahead and hold it down pretty tight. So now it's pretty good here, but we are also going to tape off the edges. Now, big point of contention, never let the tape touch the actual product. You don't want to mess with the seal. So that's why it's folded in right here, and it's bubble wrap on bubble wrap. The edges are going to be the same. You're just going to flatten it. You're going to fold one side over the other. You're going to grab a piece of tape. Again, not very big, just to kind of hold everything down. There you go. That's not going anywhere. Fold it. Do the same shit here. There you go. Pull it. Nice and tight. Then we're going to go ahead and actually grab the box. And just so you guys have a better idea, we're going to go ahead and pop this in just like that, so it doesn't really wiggle. And we're going to fill this out with some padded paper. So let me go ahead and grab that. Alrighty, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead, just stuff some right up in there. Make sure it doesn't move. Same thing right there. And then kind of cover the top just in case, because that is the least bubble wrapped portion. Now, at this point, what I'm going to go ahead and do is put the packing order and go ahead and tape it up. Alrighty, so here we go. We have the folded up order with a little thank you. And we're going to toss in 2 stickers just as, you know, a little thank you. I like to do this for anyone who buys usually anything over 50 bucks. I'll just toss in a sticker or 2. Even if it's Magic and I only have Pokemon stickers, you know, whatever, it's nice. So, close this up, nice and sealed. Go ahead and toss this right up there, cover it up, and fold her down. There we go. Now, this requires both of my hands, but essentially, I'm going to put a cross section right here, one right here, make sure it's kind of straight, and then one on each side, and one all around the packaging, so all the way. And that is, that's it for the collector boxes. Alrighty, so this is the box kind of folded on itself. I already got this drain box wrapped up. So what we're going to do is place some brown paper right there. Make sure it's nice and padded. Place the box smack dab in the middle. And then we're going to backfill these 2 sides and close it up, tape it up, and get her off. So it's essentially the same thing, just the box itself that you want to know the size of. So just for reference, 10 by 10 by 4 from Uline. All their boxes are pretty good. So with that being said, yeah, let's kind of go back to the outro. Alright, so sorry if that was a little bit of a longer video. Hopefully the explanation at the end, as well as some of the graphics I drew up and stuff like that, may be helpful. You know, hopefully they did. If they did help, then make sure to leave a like, feel free to subscribe, leave a message. Thank you all very much for the last video about, you know, tracking letters and stuff like that. It's doing quite well, and it has helped a lot of you people, so I'm very happy to hear about that. If you've already watched it but you didn't check the comments, check the comments on that video. There seems to be a new version, or a new thing that was created by another TCG seller that is essentially the free version of what I talked about. I wasn't aware of that, but apparently a lot of people use it. It's pretty good, so check out the comments for that. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you all have a great day. Take care.